Interior, abandoned warehouse, Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, night. Moonlight filters through grimy windows, illuminating dust motes in the vast, echoing space. Captain America, aka Steve Rogers, his shield strapped to his back, his face etched with pain and resolve, stands opposite the Winter Soldier, aka Bucky Barnes, metal arm gleaming faintly, his eyes haunted and conflicted.
Bucky, please, you don't have to do this. They're controlling you. All this, it's not you.
I don't know who this you is anymore, or who me is supposed to be. They tell me what to do, and I do it.
But you remember me. You have to. Coney Island, the pier, throwing rocks at tin cans. You were my best friend, Bucky.
That name? Bucky? It means nothing to me.
It meant everything to us. We were brothers. We fought side by side. You saved my life countless times. And I thought I lost you, man. Come home, Bucky. Come home.
Home? Home? Steve? Home doesn't exist for me. My only home is the mission. And them, they're there. They're everywhere. They're in my head.
Fight it. Fight it, Bucky. You're the strongest guy I know. You're stronger than they are. I know you are.
Oh. Oh. Mission parameters. Mission parameters. Eliminate Captain America. And scene. Woo-hoo! Baby. Starting off hot. Welcome back, Marvel fanatics, to the exhilarating third round of our quest to crown the ultimate champion in the Infinity Saga. We've journeyed through epic battles and witnessed cinematic legends fall, narrowing our colossal field of 23 films down to an elite 6. The competition is fiercer than ever, and the path to glory is becoming intensely clear. For these pivotal third round matchups, we're changing the game slightly. In round 1, our host will take center stage, diving deep into each film. They'll meticulously weigh the pros and cons, dissecting every scene, character arc, and thematic nuance. By the end of this insightful discussion, each host will have formed their definitive opinion on which movie truly holds the edge. Then, in round 2, the tension will be electric as our host cast their votes. The film with the majority vote will seize victory and earn its coveted spot in the Directors' Cup semi-finals. The stakes are astronomically high. Every decision matters as we inch closer to the grand finale. Get ready for strategic breakdowns, passionate arguments, and the thrilling reveal of which films are worthy of advancing in the ultimate Marvel Cinematic Tournament. Let the debates continue. All right, l'shmooshma, l'shmeeshma, l'shmoshma. It's just me and you today. Our other friend, the one and only Benoit Payud Kissay, is not joining us. He had a family emergency, so T's and P's to him and his. But tonight, you and I, we got a great one. But let's recap. So far in the third round, moving on to the semifinals. In our first matchup, it was, I believe the word is doozy? It was
a doozy.
A doozy? The first matchup, we had the number 3 Guardians of the Galaxy going against the number 4, or no, yeah, it was number 3 Guardians of the Galaxy going against the number 4 Iron Man, right? And colossal matchup. But as thought, Guardians of the Galaxy took it, moved on to the next round. Then last week, we had the original Avengers, the number 5 ranked, going against Avengers Infinity War, the number 2 ranked. And Avengers Infinity War, clean sweep, took that one, moving on to the next round. So tonight, to make our third film and the last of the matches of the third round, is we have Avengers Endgame, the number 1 seed, going against the number 6 seed, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Soldier! Dude, I cannot wait for this one. Is going to be a battle of epic proportions. I mean, I don't know. We could see one of the biggest upsets in the tournament thus far. We don't know what's happening, but I would love to start the first round. I would love to. But Liam, I can't. I can't.
Well, why not, Matt? Is something missing, dude?
There is something missing, and do you know, I don't know what it is. Do you know what it could be?
I know what you need. I think you need the tape of the tape.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you for that, Liam. All right, well, let's get ready for a showdown between two pivotal films. We have, here's the tale of the tape for Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Avengers Endgame. So here we go. First up, so Captain America, the Winter Soldier, release date, April 4th, 2014. And then we got, it was a runtime, 2 hours and 16 minutes. Then for Avengers Endgame, we have April 26th, 2019. Dude, they love that. April, early May, like that is their bread and butter, dude. But Avengers Endgame came out April 26th, 2019 with a runtime of 3 hours and 1 minute. And then film budget. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, $177 million film budget. Avengers Endgame, it's a little higher. A $400 million film budget, justifiably so, right?
Yeah.
Opening weekend box office gross. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, opening weekend box office gross, 95 mil. 95 mil. Not bad. Not bad. I'll tell you, this one, it was not a lot of people were expecting a lot going into this, and a lot of it was it's spread by word of mouth. You know, like a lot of people are like, dude, you gotta see Winter Soldier. It is so good, right? And then Avengers Endgame opening weekend box office gross. By this time, the Infinity Saga, everyone was jonesing for it. 357.1 million opening weekend box office gross. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's a lot.
yeah, pretty good. Pretty freaking good. And then worldwide box office gross for Captain America, the Winter Soldier, worldwide box office gross, we're looking at $714.4 million. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. But worldwide box office gross for Avengers Endgame, $2.798 billion.
That
Literally,
is insane.
Literally, only almost 4 times as much.
It's nuts.
Almost 4 times as much as Captain America Winter Soldier. And Captain America Winter Soldier was a massive hit. Massive. Right? But we knew Endgame broke every record that ever was. It was the highest grossing movie of all time. Biggest release ever when it came out. It was huge. Monumental. And then both films, well, surprise, surprise, both films by the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo. Yeah. Well, and Liam, that does it for the tale of the tape. Let's get ready to move on to round one. Round one. Fight! All right, let's schmoosh. Here we go. So, in this one, you and I, we're going to be given some pros and some cons. Couple of pros, couple of cons. And I'm not talking about Jimmy Con. All right? So, we're going to do little pros and cons. We're going to start off chronologically, and we're going to start off with old Lashmishma. So, take it away, Daddy-O.
All right. We're going chronological, so we'll start with the Winter Soldier. So for the Winter Soldier, as far as pros, I will say It's everybody knows that this is the best like Captain America movie, but this is also the best Nick Fury movie. That's one of my pros. Is like
Ooh.
this movie is like Nick Fury like at his best. It's the best like depiction we get of Nick Fury like ever before, and they did him dirty down the line, but at this time this is as good as it gets. You know what I mean? Like he's working in the shadows, he's got all that cool tech in his car. Remember when Winter Soldier comes to try to get him, they try to box him in with the cars, and he's got that cool gun in there, and he cuts through the car in the street and everything to escape.
Underrated scene, great scene.
Fakes his death, you know what I mean? Like this is the director of Shield. He's got all the tricks, you know what I mean? Like this, that's like my, one of my main pros here. Another pro is the story. There's never a time where this movie leaves you like wanting it. I don't remember ever sitting there and just being like, okay, like let's move this along. Like each scene happened for a reason, and it never made me feel like, okay, this is unnecessary. Like it was all good stuff. And just like, before that you had a Captain America movie. It was decent, like it was watchable, but this one just kind of like, turned it on its head, so you had Cap in Avengers and everything, and he was that good like guy, but now he's on the run, you know what I mean? He's at odds with the government, who's got Hydra infiltrated. It's just a great like Captain America story, like different, but in the best way possible, And then 3, my third pro was like the fights in the movie. Now, obviously, there were some special effects, like clearly, but they didn't rely heavily on like CGI and like green screens and like don't get me wrong. I'm sure that stuff happened like some in the movie, but you just didn't. Some movies, it's like obvious that they're doing that a lot, and this one, it's just like, you know what I mean? It's more hand to hand, more like fights, and that's really what I liked about it. So those are my 3 cons for Winter Soldier, or my 3 pros. You want to do your pros, or you want me to do the cons? Since there's only 2 of us.
How about I throw some pros? You want some pros?
All right, throw your pros in. Yes, I would love to hear them.
Okay. So here we go. First pro, I got this thing. It's a genre-bending masterpiece. One of the things we talked about in the last round, one of the categories we had was standalone film. I would like to think, as of now, as far as the whole event of the MCU, this is the number 1 standalone film as far as like take away the MCU. This is the best. Right, like no film in the MCU stands better as just a normal movie than this movie, and it says a lot, right? Like you don't need a ton of backstory going into it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to do a lot of studying. This movie is just awesome, start to finish. It's a masterful spy thriller wrapped up in a superhero movie. The tone is darker, grittier, and more grounded, reminiscent of like a 1970s political thriller, Maltese Falcon type of thing. And dude, they really needed to do that because they wanted to totally flip the narrative from the first Captain America movie. First Captain America movie really was like an action figure movie kind of thing, just kind of gritty, good action, I wouldn't say gritty, but like just a good action movie with some story, a lot of fun. But this one was like, no, we're Jason Bourne-ing the shit out of this thing. And then the next pro, I got intricate plot and conspiracy, baby. The story is layered with twists and turns, centered around a deep-seated conspiracy within S.H.I.E.L.D., a.k.a. Hydra. It keeps you guessing. It keeps you invested. Also, did we ever confirm that Robert Redford was that little redheaded kid in the first one? Right? Like,
no, we did not confirm.
I'd like to confirm that, And then, dude, like you were saying, I'll tell you this. One thing that they've relied upon in the other movies is, they use some CGI for some big action stuff, but they really dove into fight choreography in this one and crushed it. Like the opening scene when he's fighting George St. Pierre, right? Then, dude, the elevator scene,
one of the best fights that they've ever. That's one of the best ones they've done in like all the movies. Is the elevator one? I think, you
Dude,
know.
and everything they did with Cap and Winter Soldier, their fight scenes, and like the scene with Fury in the car, like awesome, awesome stuff, you know?
Yep.
And then tell you too, one thing we got in this one, really strong character development for Cap, right? Steve Rogers is his idealism is challenged, forcing him to question his allegiances and what he truly stands for. And it's like really created like a morally gray world in the MCU, which previously just wasn't there. And we have also another great pro. I know I'm doing extra pros, but Burns not here, so I'm throwing some pros.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
another great pro. We met Bucky as the Winter Soldier, dude. I'm not like a total in the comic book sphere guy, so I had no clue. So when I pieced that together, and I was like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me! It's fucking his friend who fell off the train in the first one, Sebastian Stan. What are we doing here, dude?" Once I put that together, I was like, this is just fucking awesome now. You know what I mean? Like, this just fucking got ramped up. His villain is his best friend. And then, dude, real world relevancy, right? Like, this thing, it touches on themes of government surveillance, freedom versus security, and the dangers of unchecked power. And it was very timely when it came out, you know? And
Yeah.
then I did like how they bumped up the secondary characters. Like they gave a lot more to Fury. They gave it a lot more to Black Widow. They gave a lot more to Colby Smulders, right? Like Natasha Romanoff was given a much more significant and nuanced role, and it was kind of showcased her skills and character depth because we really only had seen her in that Iron Man one for a little bit before. So to really kind of showcase her as like a mainstay and like a true Avenger, it was great. But I don't like. I'm not. We'll talk about the cons with Natasha's performance as
Mm-hmm.
well. But that's what I
Mm-hmm.
got for pros. You ready for some cons? Yeah, how about you give us
I'm
some cons there, Daddy?
I'm ready for some cons, and
Con it
I
up,
will
Daddy.
say, speak because I really liked this movie. It feels almost like nitpicking at this point, but there
Sure.
were like a couple like parts
Nothing's
in the movie
flawless.
where you're just like, yeah, where you're just like, come on, you know what I mean? Number one, all right, this movie happened after the Avengers, right? So Hydra's running around and everything. They infiltrated Shield, and that like they have higher clearance levels and stuff. Tony Stark hacked the Avengers database in the Avengers movie. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
hacked Shield. Remember, he put that little thing under, and so Tony Stark didn't notice any of this stuff at all. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
Jarvis.
that's a plot hole.
Jarvis
Yeah,
wasn't
that's a
like,
plot hole.
what do we got here? Why is
Tony
Hydra keep
Tony
popping
may
up?
have Tony may have found it by then.
Yeah.
Number two, and this is kind of like a whole
Well, can I
like
say this? Can I say this? Didn't they have like a pre-existing Vision slash Jarvis? Like the guy, the little scientist guy that ended up being the machine in the basement. You know what I mean? Like, was he a
yes.
pre-exist? He's kind of like he was like the original Jarvis in a way. So maybe he had some like he was able to kick Jarvis out or something. Maybe there was like a whole internet battle that like took place
Oh yeah,
and he
maybe
just
like
knocked Jarvis
yeah.
silly, you know? So
Yeah,
we don't know.
maybe
Maybe he would.
Shield was strong enough, or Hydra had their own. Yeah, because they had that Zola guy. Remember the
Yeah,
guy that
that's
was
what
in
I'm
the
saying.
computer? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's what you
yeah,
mean. That guy. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Because
maybe
he was
he
he
was
was
able to
yeah
keep
he
him
was
out.
super smart. So maybe he. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll let that one slide then. All
We can
right.
let it
So then
slide.
we'll move.
Sorry.
So then we'll
Continue.
move on to number two. So
Yeah.
the Winter Soldier and Hydra, they've been secret for all these years and everything. Then this movie happens, and out of the clear blue sky, now they want to attack Nick Fury, Captain America, the Black Widow, all these people in Shield in broad daylight, like multiple times on highways
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
That's not very secretive if you're the Winter Soldier. Because remember, they're like, oh well, they think he's just like it's just like a tall tale. He's just like
He's
it's
a
a
myth.
rumor that he exists, but then he's blowing stuff up on the highway at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. All over
Doesn't
the
doesn't
news.
line up. Doesn't line
No.
up.
They were
And number
super secret. Like they disguise themselves as an organization inside a government, and then for years kept that a secret. And then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Why don't we just chase them on the highway and
Yeah,
blow up the highway?
and they're
Yeah.
smashing cop cars into Nick Fury's car and stuff in front of all these witnesses. You know,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
bit that's a little bit off.
All right. I'm with you.
Number three, and this one I thought was like the biggest hole in the whole movie.
I
Okay,
love it.
you're talking about the Black Widow. She's supposed to be like the spy. You know what I mean? We're talking about Captain America. Like he's not supposed to like be like a dumbass and everything, dude.
Yeah.
Well, no, sorry, this isn't so much pointed at Black Widow, but he hides the thumb drive in that vending machine behind the bubble gum.
Yeah.
Dude, he had to catch so many things had to go right for that thumb drive to end up in Scarlett Johansson's hands, in Black Widow's hands. So nobody could buy bubble gum. The vending machine company could never service the machine.
Yeah.
So you had to have no more than two people buy bubble gum. You had to have the vending machine guy never come and open it for any reason during all that.
Yeah.
And then number three, how did she know it was there? She just like went and she's like, oh, it's in the vending machine. You know what I mean? When she's there chewing the gum. Like I know she's a like super spy and everything, but she just knew it was there.
Dude, how?
Remember, they just show him look at it. They just show him look at it. Then he walks away. It's there. It's not like she was tailing him then.
Yeah.
So how? You know? It just, but that one's crazy because nobody buys bubble gum and the vending machine dude never comes to fill the machine up. Because the first thing he would do is open it up, like he'd start putting stuff, and he'd be like, "What the hell is this? This isn't a pack of gum."
Yeah.
Well, like, what are you guys doing in my machine?
What you do. Yeah. And he also has to rotate the products and stuff. Yeah, he definitely would have. Also, like, what? I mean, those things are locked. Like, how? I don't know.
Yeah. How did he get it in?
Yeah, yeah. Do you think, I mean, do we ever go over what Steve Rogers' job was before he tried joining the military?
Well, remember they were kids. He was younger. He was just like a twerp, you know?
Yeah.
They were in school. They wanted to join the military
did they even
together.
have vending machines back in?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for him to even know. Yeah.
Can I ask you this? Do we ever find out, like, what Steve's job was? Like, because while he's trying to join the military, he must have had a job. And did they have vending machines back then? And is that what his job was? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah,
weren't back
you're
in
right.
the day vending machine. Remember back in the day vending machines where you just put a quarter in and like twist it. Like they didn't have like the Hubba Bubba, the ones we have where like the thing spirals. Back then, I think they just remember they would like push it in, then push it out, and they would pop out the bottom. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, how would he know? You know, he was like a kid. Then they gave him super soldier serum, and then, you know, I don't think he did too much vending machine repair in the meantime.
Yeah.
In between.
I mean, you know what's something I do want to invest in some lock picks. So maybe he just learned how to.
I also would like some lock picks for like just for myself, for like when I forget keys and stuff.
Yeah.
And just to like learn how to do it because it's cool.
Yeah.
You know,
it's so cool. It's
cool to pick locks.
Yeah,
I'll pick my own locks. I don't even have to do anything illegal. I just want to.
I'll buy a lock
pick locks because it's cool.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
Okay, so what else do you got for holes? Anything else? Any other cons?
But those were my three. Just like, you know, number one, Stark didn't notice he was in the system. Number two, Winter Soldier didn't care about murking people in broad daylight after being hidden for years and years. And number three, they just threw the thumb drive like magically in the vending machine. That shit didn't make any sense. So now we're going to your cons now. Those are mine.
All right, well, here we go. Here's my cons for Captain America the Winter Soldier. So here we go. So first con, so let's just say this. The stakes were like quite a bit lower than what other films would be. Like, it isn't a universe ender. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to destroy a little bit of Manhattan, it seemed like, you know? So, like, while the personal stakes for Captain America were incredibly high, the global threat, little insignificant, and it isn't the same as, you know, the universe killer scale as later MCU films would be. So, and I'm nitpicking, dude. It still was pretty high stakes, right? Like
Yeah.
they were gonna take over a massive government, thing. So second thing, it does have a less superhero feel because it doesn't have like super powerful beings throwing around lightning and magic whammers and all that stuff, or flying around whatever. So for viewers who prefer like the more traditional superheroics, the spy thriller focus might be less appealing. But I like that better because I've always liked Batman better,
Oh
because
yeah. Yep.
it was very much like a Nolan Batman feel,
Yep.
and then it was potentially confusing for casual viewers, right? Like the intricate plot and reveal of Hydra's infiltration might be a lot to follow for the casual viewer, such as myself. I was able to get it, but if you're not like there's a bunch of like kind of Easter eggy things. I wouldn't even say Easter eggy things, but like you kind of need to know this stuff that takes place, but eventually it all comes together. And then it was a limited ensemble, like you had Nick Fury, but then you had Cap, you had Buck, you had Frank Grillo, who was a great one. You did have Bobby Redford too, you know what I mean? So
It's a big name.
yeah. So Natasha and Sam is a strength. It naturally means the other MCU heroes aren't involved though. So, but
Yeah.
either way, those are all the cons I got. Wasn't much. Still incredible film.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yep.
Incredible. You
Agreed.
ready to move on to the old Endgame?
I'm ready, Freddie. We'll move on to
All
Endgame.
right.
Let's do
Hey
it.
man, fucking get that big old schmacker you got and put it on the table. Let me hear what you got for pros, Daddy.
All right. Endgame pros. My first one is that Endgame, like the movie as a whole, it perfectly ties together years of movies. You get all kinds of payoffs and callbacks. And let's face it, as moviegoers, we spent all that time. We watched all those movies that came before. Some of that stuff was really, really cool. It felt like you were like in the know when you remembered it from an old movie, like how Cap had the hammer when he got it to move back in Age of Ultron. He got it to move a little bit, and Thor's like, "I knew it." That part was really cool. I liked that kind of stuff, like the callbacks and the payoffs, and
Hmm.
going back into like seeing scenes from other movies and other angles. It was very cool.
Yeah.
My
I love
second
that they
pro.
threw Thor's mom. Sorry, they threw Thor's mom in there with that too, which was nice.
Yeah, yeah, and all that. Yeah, to kind of like clean up some of the what was actually a pretty crappy movie. To involve that and it be part of it, it still be interesting and not take away from the movie and everything. That was cool.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Keep
my
going.
second
Sorry.
pro, my no, you're cool. My second pro would be that obviously we know this, but the cast is totally stacked. You've got all these names, and even just the way they did it. So they have this stacked cast, but they set it up in a way where it comes back to pretty much it's on all the original Avengers. Like it's on Tony, Captain America,
Yeah.
Hulk,
Thor.
Hawkeye, uh, Black Widow, all of like the main group is there. They were there in the first Avengers Battle in New York, and now they got to hold it down in the time heist to get the stones in this one. I thought that
Yeah.
part was very cool.
Yeah.
Uh, my third pro is that all throughout the movie, the stakes were compelling. Like it starts out and Scott Lang, Ant-Man, is looking through all the names and he finds his daughter and he misses that time. That was pretty deep. Tony, when
Yeah.
he's deciding whether he wants to do it or not, he's got the picture of Peter Parker there, and then he decides to throw in with the Avengers. Like even the slower scenes, like the stakes are there. Like everybody feels it. And
Oh, big time.
Hawkeye going nuts and becoming Ronin and killing all those gangsters
Oh.
and Yakuza and whatnot. And then Nat's the one that has to reel him in, but then only to turn around and she's got to be the one that sacrifices herself. Like they did have some pretty like the stakes were high, like in the whole movie, and it kept you engaged, like for a movie that long, and to keep you engaged with all these plot lines and everything, and to keep it all
Yeah.
together. That's a definite pro for me. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Big time.
that's
No,
those are my pros. Let's hear yours, Matty boy.
dude, I agree with you on all that. Like, look, let's just start off by saying right off the jump, it was an epic conclusion to the Infinity Saga.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely epic. It successfully wrapped up over what, a decade of intricate storytelling and interconnected stories, and it provided a satisfying and emotional payoff to countless character arcs and plot lines. Like, they really did deliver with this. Hit everything. And then, dude, there you can say this, and there has never been a movie like this, right? Like, as far as like unprecedented scope and scale, the sheer ambition of bringing together almost every hero from the MCU for a massive, multifaceted conflict, it's unparalleled, right? Never, nothing ever this big before, right? And then emotional, man. Like, the film explores themes of grief, loss, hope, and sacrifice with genuine depth. Like, many moments are deeply moving and impactful, right? And like I mean, for me at least, and I'm not the super fan, but for my type of fan, it was fan service done right. Like, while it has plenty of crowd pleasing moments, they generally feel earned and serve the story rather than just being like gratuitous. And then, the character arcs, like you were saying, man, it provides fitting conclusion or possibly a new beginning for some for the major characters like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and then the culmination of the action, that final battle, dude, when they're all fucking lined up, right? When they're lined up and Cap, like, is there, everyone gets in behind him, right? He fucking gets the whammer and Avengers.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and they fucking, dude, you get jazzed up, dude. You get
Yeah.
jazzed up. It's the
After he
most
just got
like,
his That
oh,
was
he got
after
his
he got his
tail
ass.
kicked.
Yeah, he got his ass handed to him, and then stood up by himself. And then he
Yeah,
was ready to. He was ready to rock and roll by himself. Still, definitely
yeah,
was gonna lose. And then the people showed up. You're right. That part was amazing.
yeah. And then, dude, I will say, Thanos, the villain, come on,
Yeah, makes
incredible
it.
villain.
Oh yeah.
Incredible. Like, while he wasn't like, I mean, I guess you could say he wasn't the main villain of the, I mean, he was, but
Oh
his
yeah.
presence looms large, and the final confrontation with him, it's just so good. It is so good. That's one thing we didn't mention about Winter Soldier. Great villains. And then that's all I got for pros. Quite a few pros. What do you got for cons, Diggity Dad?
Cons. Now, so my cons for Endgame are pretty simple. Like while the cast was stacked, this made the movie a little bit crowded, causing some
Yeah,
of the characters to be handled like not the greatest. War
no.
Machine existed pretty much to show up, punch Star Lord, steal that, steal that one, and then he made a couple jokes, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah,
I get that Ragnarok brought humor to the character, like it's brought humor to the character of Thor and everything, but they kind of leaned at one point. They were leaning on that Lebowski Thor a little too hard. I
yeah.
thought it
Wasn't
was
thrilled with it.
funny. It like when they go to the house and he's there playing video games, like it's good.
And
It's
he
funny.
yells at that kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the beginning that part's funny, but when they're just going and going, and it's even in a serious scene when Thor tells him, "Hey, I'll deal with the stones. I'm a god. Like I'll do it." And they say like, "Oh, you got cheese whiz in your veins." Like, dude, like just that's just too much of the same
Overkill.
joke. Yeah, it's too much of the same joke over and over. But
Yeah.
luckily they did he did redeem that. The
Yeah.
Lebowski thing went away. He got his, and then when they started fighting, he was back to Thor again. He was the god of thunder, even though it
I
was a
mean, I
little
will
bit
say too,
different.
like, I don't know. I mean, God, he tried being vulnerable in those scenes with his mom, but really, Renee Russo carried those
Yeah.
scenes too. She really did.
Yeah, she did.
But
Yeah, you're right.
like there
But
was
yeah,
no like the emotion just wouldn't have been there if she hadn't like brought it out. She nailed it.
yeah.
Phenomenal performance.
Well,
Yeah.
she's an old pro. You know what I mean?
She's a pro.
Of course
She's a
she did.
pro's pro. All right.
And
What
then
else you got?
as I've spoke about this before, and they're just the handling of the Hulk is just you know, like, okay, the Hulk, he did the snap, he brought some guys back. The Hulk had a hurt arm. Okay, his arm was messed up.
Yeah.
But what happened after that? You mean to tell me a Hulk with one arm isn't insanely useful in the biggest battle in the history
History of the
of the
universe.
franchise? Yeah. Like a kick from the Hulk, a stomp from the Hulk, jump in. Like he could. Hulk one handed is still very formidable, probably stronger than most of the characters out there on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what the hey on that one? That's what I say. All right. Another
Yeah.
con. Another con.
Agree. Yeah.
After
They shit
they
on the Hulk.
botch, yeah, they as they have been. So that's all another thing. But after they botched, this is my next con. After they botched the Tesseract in New York, Loki takes it. He disappears with it. They decide to go back to the 70s and grab the Tesseract and more Pym particles. Once they do that and go back to the 70s, that I will say that little exchange there, it was a little too convenient for my liking as far as like, okay, we're using time travel and everything. So here's the question: why not just go back in time to time even further and just take like a bunch of Pym particles? Then you could take as many cracks at this as you need to until you get it
Yeah.
perfect. It's just convenient that that's where they go. Tesseract happens to be there. It's just in this box that isn't well guarded. They pop it open nice and easy, and
Yeah.
that was a little too convenient for me. But
Yeah.
again,
But it was a bookend for Tony and his old man,
yeah, he got
though.
to see his dad, so I get
And
it.
he saw Agent Carter.
Yeah, and he gets the C card. I get it, but I think they could have done that without being
Agreed.
little too easy. Little too easy for those two, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But and then my third con really for Endgame, if you look at it, the whole idea of bringing everyone back after 5 years is kind of like it's morally questionable. Questionable. It's kind of a gray area. So for 5 years, all these people have been living on the planet. They've established homes, and
Yeah.
like some people may have been
Yeah.
married. 5 years later, they meet somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's like what movies like that where they think somebody Castaway. Remember
Yeah.
Castaway? Dude's dead. He comes back, and that. So it's like that times half the Earth's population.
Half the universe.
Yeah, it's a little iffy, man. You know, but
Yeah.
again, this is just like I will say though, this is just like with Winter Soldier. We're nitpicking here. This is a great
Yeah.
movie, but those are the three things that to me were questionable. So,
Yeah.
what was questionable for you, Matt? Let me know.
Okay. So a couple of cons, and I'm telling you, it ain't a ton, but
Mm-hmm.
it. This film is not a standalone film. It requires knowledge of previous MCU films, especially Infinity War, to be fully understood and appreciated. Like, not a standalone film,
True
right?
that.
Also, the pacing in the first act. The initial 5 years later segment, while necessary, and it was a must for character development, it can feel a bit slow. And I was ready for some action, and I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people were too. And then, dude, the one thing you will always get is the or time travel logic, right? The rules of time travel in the film can be a bit convoluted and have led to fan debate and discussion about continuity. And then, there's some character deceptions, depictions. Like certain character arcs, like Thor, his initial depression, Hulk's transformation, like you were saying. Like, they were divisive for some viewers. And then, like you're saying, there is a lot in here, and they crammed like too much over cramming with so many characters and plot points to address. Some elements like feel a little rushed or underdeveloped compared to if it were a standalone film. But you knew that going in also because of the scope and size. And
Oh
then
yeah.
the portals moment, while iconic for fans, it can feel a bit like pure fan service that breaks inner immersion for some and overstays its welcome. So, but again, nitpicking. This
Yeah.
movie is fucking incredible, Daddy.
Yeah. Yep.
Fucking incredible. So, I mean, that does it for all my pros and my cons. Are you good to end round one?
I'm good, man. I'm golden.
All right. Well, here we go. Round two. Round two. Fight. Uh, Here we go. All right, it's now time for round two. We are going to cast our votes, and the majority winner will move on to the semifinals. I will say this: since Byrne is not here, he has given me his vote. Would you like to hear it, Lashmoosh?
Mailing it in. Yeah. I would love
Mail
to
it
hear
in.
it.
Well, put one in the points column for the winner, Soldier.
Oh, at number 6.
Yeah. Right now, the sixth seed is holding it down, Daddy. Dude, I mean, this is gonna. We knew this was gonna be tough. Can I share my vote next?
Yes, I'd love to hear it.
All right. So while Captain America: The Winter Soldier is an incredibly well crafted spy thriller that redefined Cap's character and brought a fresh genre to the MCU, Avengers Endgame operates on a completely different level of cinematic ambition and emotional payoff. All right. Winter Soldier is a fantastic, contained story. Endgame is the culmination of over a decade of interconnected storytelling. It masterfully weaves together dozens of character arcs, provides incredibly satisfying conclusions, as we know, for the heroes, and like we grew up with these heroes. So to see these conclusions, super satisfying. And then it delivers a truly epic film. Like it's a, cathartic final battle that unparalleled. It's unparalleled in cinematic history. The stakes in Endgame aren't just personal; they're universal, and the raw emotion of loss, grief, and ultimately triumph resonates on a scale that just a single superhero film couldn't achieve. So, no, how matter how good, it just simply it can't achieve the level Endgame is at. So for me, Endgame is a once in a generation cinematic event that stuck the landing perfectly. I'm going with Endgame. So it's 1-1. One for Winter Soldier,
Oh,
one for Endgame, with the last vote going to you, Lashmoosh.
so
Who
it's
is the
all on
next
me, huh?
one going to the semifinals, Daddy?
It's all on me. Well, so I'm gonna say this. Endgame, Winter Soldier, both of those movies are 3 in my book in the MCU. So they're both in the top 3. And we used to get angry with it for doing and saying this one's slightly better or this one just barely, But in this case, I think it fits. Winter Soldier is slightly Endgame. My choice is Winter Soldier, and I'm going to tell you why. As much as I love all the sci-fi and the worlds and, like powers and flying and everything, what I like more is the comic book movies. They're grounded. They're in the cities. You know what I mean? They're fighting hand to hand. Love Winter Soldier. Love Dark Knight. Logan, I believe, is like that. You know what I mean? Like there are some powers. There is some like supernatural stuff happening in these movies, but to me, like when they're hand to hand and it's just better, I think. So my vote goes out to Winter Soldier. That's it. Breaking the tie.
Wow.
Winter Soldier moves
Damn.
on.
All right, so talk about a massive upset in the third round. The number 6 seed, Captain America: Winter Soldier, takes out the number 1 seed, Avengers Endgame. Incredible stuff. So
Woo!
moving on to the semifinals, we have Captain America, the Winter Soldier. It'll be joined by Guardians of the Galaxy and Infinity War. And then next week, we'll have the MCU Money in the Bank. And one lucky film will get a chance to go to the semifinals. We'll discuss that all next week. Super excited for this. But Liam, anything else you want to say before we rowdy?
I love it. Money in the Bank, MCU style. Love it,
Hey,
love
you
it,
thought
love
of it.
it. And I got one message for everybody. Don't listen to the we're the top reviewers around here. All right. Don't listen to these a-holes on IMDb and everything. Go see
Yeah.
the new Jurassic Park. It's awesome. $318 million worldwide. I don't know what they're talking about. It's a great movie, very entertaining. You'll love it.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
free plug for Universal too. You're welcome.
There you go. Shout out. Fan of the show, listener to the show. Speaking of free plugs, this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives Podcast presents Ask AI. In case you're wondering, you find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You know us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast. Join us on Twitter and TikTok at Working P Pod. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. And please like and subscribe. And keep bringing you this incredible content. I'm Matt Lavelle. He's Liam Reese. And you guys are the best. Thanks. See ya.